the Pledge of Allegiance in honor of Veterans Day. We have Captain Jaime Fuller. Jaime currently works in our communications office, but prior to coming to MNPS, Jaime served our country in the U.S. Army. In 1994, Jaime enlisted as a private first class. He served with the 82nd and 101st Airborne Divisions, 5th Special Forces, and the U.S. Army Special Ops Command as a paratrooper, Special Forces medic operator, and as an intelligence officer. He has deployed to Central America, Southeast Asia, Africa, and Afghanistan for multiple combat and training sessions. Jaime received his officer commission in 2006 and was honorably discharged in 2013 as a captain. I would invite Captain Jaime Fuller to the podium to say the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you for your service, Captain Fuller. Both my father and my father-in-law are veterans. They both served. My father-in-law in the Navy, my father in the Air Force, and I'm an Air Force brat because we moved around a lot of times to prove it. But I do appreciate your service. It's selfless. We do have a quorum with us tonight as well. So because of the weather, we've had a couple of reschedules. So the Crestwell Middle School Arts Artwork and the East Nashville High School choral groups are rescheduling. And so they'll be on, I think, the first meeting of December. But we do have with us tonight the Antioch High School Ambassadors. So I would invite them to the podium to speak about their experiences with
Whites Creek.
No, it's actually Antioch.
Yay! Yay, Antioch. Yay. Hello. Hello, my name is Kanita Dollar. I am the Academy Coach for Antioch High School, and I bring you greetings from our Executive Principal, Clarissa Zellers. And I have the honor of introducing our ambassadors that are here with us today. This is just a small, about 4 out of 20 that we have. Our students' names are Brianna and Cece. I told you. Cece, Emanuela, and I told you, sorry. Emanuela Beer. I'm sorry. Clara Hanna and Maria Espinoza. And their job tonight is to really give you why they love Antioch. And so because we have less participation, hopefully you get a little more time to hear their stories.
Good evening. My name is Brianna Cisse, and I am a senior ambassador at Antioch High School. At Antioch High School, I'm in an Academy of Business and Finance pathway, Banking and Finance. And within my pathway, I have the opportunity to intern at the Ternes Credit Union, and I have work experience at the credit union. I work at a credit union inside my cafeteria, and I'm head teller, so. After high school, I can immediately get a job at the Tennessee Credit Union, and when I go to high school, when I go to college, I can work at the credit union there. By having the Tennessee Credit Union on my resume and the pathway of business and finance, I had the amazing opportunity to work at Vanderbilt Core Finance Department. And I feel like that having the Tennessee Credit Union, having Business and Finance Academy, and having Vanderbilt on my resume makes me look more like I took action during my high school years and put me at a better playing field than other students that haven't been much proactive. So, thank you.
Hello, my name is Maria Espinoza from Antioch High School, representing the Academy of Teaching and Service, Pathway Social Service. And coming into high school, I didn't know what to expect or whatever, so I was just really focused on trying to get past that year. And whenever somebody would ask me, what do I want to be when I grew up, I was like, I don't know. So As like I always knew I wanted to help in some way with people. I wanted to interact with people, so that's why the Academy of Teaching and Service fit perfectly with me, because it had the pathway of social service, and that's with interacting with people. And right now, since we're learning tools of marriage and how to cohesively like work through a marriage and like complications through that. So even though that lesson is based off of how to fix a marriage, essentially, or something like that, I can also use those tools to work with the people around me and help those people out, and how to essentially be like a little therapist in my school. But yeah, that's how that's working with me and how it's affecting me positively. And yeah, so now I know I want to major in nursing, so that also deals with people and stuff like that. So that also helps me. The skills that we're learning in our academy also helps us with that, if that makes sense. Okay.
Hello, my name is Emmanuel Ingevere. I am a senior in the Academy of Teaching and Services. I have a story a little bit similar to Maria, but just a little bit different. I went into high school also knowing that I wanted to work with people, and I knew that in the back of my head that I wanted to be a nurse. But we don't have a health science academy, and I had an older sister who went there, and she told me the closest academy there was the Academy of Teaching Services. So I chose the social services path, and we learned a lot, like the psychological part of like people and working with people, so like your therapists and like your school counselors and all of that. And this past summer, I got the opportunity to work at Project Cure, where we sorted and went through donated medical supplies, and we got to ship them out to the countries that didn't need them. And that kind of just like grew my passion and secured like my want to be a nurse. So, yeah.
Hello, my name is Clara Hennon. I am from Antioch High School. I am in the Academy of Hospitality and Marketing. If you are all familiar with Malcolm Gladwell's recognized concept of big fish, small pond, it is the same approach that I took when choosing Antioch as my high school. I went to Nashville Prep, and that is a charter school for those of you that don't know, and my parents wanted me to still go to the high school that they had set up, which is Republic, but I chose to go to Antioch, and it's been a lot, and for them offering the academies is an honor, because I did not choose my academy, but I also did not put in the effort to change it, because you can benefit from your academy even if that's what you're going to major in. If that's what you want to do, you're going to benefit regardless. You're going to learn more about yourself that you didn't know, and I think it's the biggest honor that our academies offer us, is teaching us what we didn't know that we needed to learn. Also, I wanted to say it is a sight for sore eyes that we have a board full of beautiful women. So thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Dollar, for bringing your students here. They were very good, and we always enjoy hearing from our students' population. So thank you, ladies, for being here with us tonight.
Thank you.
Great job, ladies. So before we move on to awards and recognitions, I want to say something for our viewing audience at home and for those in the audience who follow us regularly. My condolences, first of all. But secondly, you probably see a new face at the table tonight. So we have a new board member, Ms. Frida Peters. She was just selected last week by the Metro Council to fill the vacancy, a board vacancy that we had. And tonight she had her induction into serving on the board. And so hopefully we'll have, you know, a working board, a full working board moving from here on out. So welcome, Frida. Thank you. Welcome. And so moving on to awards and recognitions. The first one, the Harbor Freight Award for the McGavock High School teacher, we will reschedule that. And so we will move ahead with our second award, the National Homeless Liaison of the Year Award. Dr. Battle?
Thank you. We are so proud of the great work our employees do every day, and we are proud to share with you when a national organization recognizes them. At this time, I would like to invite Ms. Katherine Knowles up to the podium. I'd like to share a little bit more. The National Association for the Education of Homeless Children and Youth has awarded their Homeless Liaison of the Year Award to Katherine Knowles, our Homeless Education Program Coordinator. Katherine has served as the Homeless Education Program Coordinator for 22 years. She is recognized as a leader and advocate throughout the state of Tennessee. During that time, the HERO program for families in transition has grown from serving 200 students a year to more than 3,400. She has recruited more than 25 community partners who support our McKinney-Vento program, and she currently serves on 3 statewide councils as a service provider representing the concerns of families who are experiencing homelessness. She is a member of the Metropolitan Nashville Homelessness Planning Council, the Youth Homelessness Demonstration Project Steering Committee, and Vice President of Unicycle, a local nonprofit that provides gently used clothing to students. One of her most recent endeavors has been working with the Tennessee legislature to pass new laws designed to support youth and young adults. Katherine, we are proud of your work and your service to the students and families of Nashville. Thank you and congratulations.
It's an honor to be here tonight. I've watched many times at home, and I've been here a few other times, but it is an honor to be here tonight after my 22 years of work here in the district. And I would just like to give a special thanks tonight for all the school staff, the central office staff who support our program and the work that we do. We are a mighty team of 3.5 employees. And we certainly serve a larger number of students in the district, but we couldn't do what we do without the help of the school social workers and school counselors and that day-to-day staff in the school buildings who sees the family, who hear the stories, and then connect those families with us. So we're grateful to the efforts of everyone in the district, and I appreciate being here tonight. Thank you.
Thank you.
Want to get the picture? Want to get the Share the wealth. We will move on to public participation. The board will hear from those persons who have requested to appear at this board meeting. In the interest of time, speakers are requested to limit their remarks to 3 minutes or less, and comments will be timed. The names are up here on all the screens, and so I would ask that you go ahead and line up in threes so that we can facilitate this to be as painless as possible. So the first 3 that we have are Katherine Green, Kurt Schlee, and M. Lopez. So go ahead and go ahead. Yeah. Yep.
Good evening, Director and members of the board. My name is Katherine Green. I am the Advocacy Chair for MNEA, and I teach 4th grade at DuPont Elementary School. I'm here to support Armando and the RSA Concrete Company. It is my job, it is my responsibility as a teacher to work for the greater good of society. As a school system and Board of Education, it is also your responsibility to work for the greater good of society. Fighting for workers to be paid for work completed is the morally and ethically right thing to do. You all have an opportunity and a choice to make, one that will have great impact on the families of our community.
Thank you. Come on up.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen of the board. I appreciate the opportunity to speak before you. I didn't realize this was an opportunity parents could do, so this is actually quite interesting. I'm a parent of all 3 MNPS students. I currently have a sophomore and a freshman at McGavock, and then I have a 7th grader at Two Rivers. I love all my schools. My children have been in MPS schools their entire lives, which has been very interesting. I'm not actually from Tennessee, but it has been a very intriguing journey so far. I love all my schools from the beginning to now, and I've been advocating for my middle school here currently. We've had a lot of issues regarding our principal, regarding our facility. I've been trying to work with the principal and with the staff we have there, and it seems like it's not going anywhere. I've tried going through the correct avenues, going through the proper channels, and it's not going anywhere. The way I look at it is the way things probably seem is that our principal is not very active in wanting our school to be better. Our community around our school is not there. They're not seeing the support that our principal should be putting that effort towards. We've been losing a lot of staff, and which in turn affects our students. I would hope that we'd want a better school for our students, not just for my current student, but for the students that are coming. A lot of other parents do not want to send their kids to our school, and I feel bad for that. It's still my school, even though my child only has 2 more years. It'll continue to be my school. As a parent of 3, as a PAC member, and as the Two Rivers secretary for our PTO, I advocate for my school every single day, and I'm not understanding as to why there's nothing being done in regards to our principal. I've been a Two Rivers parent for 6 years. She's been at our school for 8, and there's almost no positivity coming from her. I feel a change in leadership would be best. I don't know how else to say it, and I don't know how else to stress it. But I'm very active at my school, and of course as well as McGavock. But at this point, I see that Two Rivers needs every help possible if there's anything that can be done. I've tried going to her, and I've been trying to go to her direct supervisors, and nothing's being done over the past few years. But ultimately, I'm not against anybody in particular. I just feel that our school needs help. And I'm coming to you as the board to ask for help, as one parent out of many from our school.
Thank you. The next 3 are Mara Rivera, Reka Brown, and Tremaine Hamer.
Buenas tardes, señora Presidenta
Good evening,
Sheffer
Madam
y
Chair
miembros
Sheffer
de la Junta Directiva
and
de
members of
Educación.
the Board of Education.
Mi nombre es Mara Rivera.
My name is Mara Rivera.
Estoy aquí representando a una
I am here
comunidad de
representing a
inmigrantes
community
y
of over
refugiados
1,000 families
compuestos por más de 1,000
composed by
familias.
immigrants and refugees.
Estamos aquí para
are
darle
here
las
to say
gracias a
thank you.
ustedes. Nuestras
families
familias han hecho de
have made
Nashville
Nashville
su
home.
hogar. Muchos de
Members of
nuestros
our community
miembros
have
han
taken
recorrido
almost
caminos
unspeakable
innombrables. Nuestros
Mothers
padres,
and fathers
madres
had made sacrifices
han hecho sacrificios y nuestros niños
that no
también
person
han
should
sufrido.
ever have to make. Our children have suffered.
Venimos huyendo
We fled war.
de las guerras,
We lived through
hemos
intense
tenido
pain.
vivencias de intenso
We
dolor,
felt loss of loved ones, family members.
Pero ahora estamos aquí. Nos sentimos
But we are
seguros,
now. We feel secure,
nos sentimos protegidos y
full
sobre todo,
protection. And above all,
antes no teníamos una
before we
educación de
didn't
calidad
have
para nuestros
a
niños.
quality education for our children.
Muchos de nuestros
our
niños no
children
tuvieron la
didn't have the
oportunidad de ir a la
opportunity to
escuela
go
en
to
nuestros
school
países
in our home
natales.
countries.
Y los pocos
few fortunate
afortunados
ones
que
who
tenían
did.
días escolares cortos,
So the school days were
infrecuentes,
often
o estaban a cargo de personas
infrequent,
cuyo interés no
or
era
led
para el
by
mejor
people who
bienestar de
didn't
nuestros
have the
niños.
children's best interests at
Pero
heart.
ahora estamos aquí
But now,
en este
we are
lugar.
here at this very
Ustedes
place.
nos han dado
We have given our
una
families
oportunidad,
and our
una
children
esperanza a
chance,
nuestros niños, a
the
nuestras
opportunity for a
familias,
different journey.
una oportunidad para recorrer
brighter
una
journey.
trayectoria diferente, prometedora,
And above all,
y sobre todo
we
nos
have
han
given
dado
them
mucha esperanza.
Hope.
Ustedes nos han
We have
dado la
given us the
Nashville
Nashville
Newcomer
Newcomers
Academy en
at STEM
STEM-PRE, un lugar
our
al que
children
nuestros niños y
and we
nuestras
as
familias
families call
llamamos
home.
hogar. Nos han dado
have
una
given
escuela
us
segura
Safe schools
que no solo
that not only protect our children,
protege a nuestros niños,
but tell our children
los hacen
you
sentir
are loved,
amados,
you are
importantes, valorados
valued,
y que algún
and you
día
will be
serán
someone.
alguien.
You
Se
will
graduarán
graduate
de la
from college,
universidad,
and
su
your real
vida
life will
cambiará
change the
el
world
mundo de la
as it
misma
has already
manera
changed
que el
ours.
mundo ha cambiado la nuestra.
In
En pocas
short,
palabras,
it has
nos han
given us
dado
lots of hope.
esperanza. Muchas
People may
personas nos
call us a
llaman
lot
de
of different
maneras
things,
diferentes,
but our
pero
newcomers
en nuestra
community,
comunidad de
in our
recién
school at
llegados,
STEM Prep,
nuestra escuela
the
STEM
school
Prep,
you have given us,
escuela que ustedes nos
sees
han
what
dado,
you see.
ve lo que ustedes
Children
ven.
full of promises
Niños
who deserve the
prometedores
very best
que merecen
education.
la mejor educación
And you have given
posible.
us that.
Esto nos lo
We
han dado
thank you.
ustedes. Por eso
Ms.
le
Sheffer,
damos
Ms.
de
Boggs,
todo
Ms. Bush,
corazón.
Dr. Gentry,
Muchas
Ms. Elrod,
gracias.
Ms. Frog, Ms. Sheffer, and Ms. Blair. We give you gratitude. From the bottom of our heart, thank you very much.
Nos gustaría entregar
We'd like to give
estas
you
cartas.
some of the letters from behalf of the community. Vamos a dárselas a ella.
Is Reka Brown here?
Good evening. My name is Reka Brown, and I am here in representation, a part of a representation of Purpose Preparatory Academy. In January, I moved both of my children, to Purpose Preparatory Academy. My daughter at the time being in the 2nd grade and my son being in 4th grade. This was a very difficult decision because my son was in 4th grade, but I knew through witnessing all of the work that is done at Purpose Prep, because I teach kindergarten, that I had to have both of my children there. So I moved my son to Purpose Prep, and I had a very difficult the teachers had a very difficult conversation with me, and they told me that my son was 4 reading levels behind. He was in the 4th grade reading at a 1st grade reading level. As a parent who teaches, that was a very difficult, it was very difficult hearing that, but I knew that the teachers loved and cared about him enough to have that conversation with me. They didn't have a conversation as if it was a hopeless conversation. They had a real conversation saying, this is the work that needs to be done so that your son can be successful when he leaves here. And tirelessly, both teachers worked, because at Purpose Prep, there's a 2-teacher model in each classroom. Both teachers worked along with the leadership, and teachers across the school worked tirelessly with my son. And in June 3rd, 2019, my son graduated from Purpose Prep, only 3 levels away from actually being on the 4th grade reading level. And as a parent, that was extremely important to me, because my son left from Purpose reading at 2 grades ahead before he entered. At Purpose Prep, I have learned that teachers love what they do. Kids love learning from teachers who love teaching. And at Purpose Prep, I learned that the teachers love teaching. There are 5 core values that leaders model, that teachers model, and that kids learn from. And every day, my daughter is still part of Purpose Prep, and every day they talk about these core values. And as a parent, hearing your 8-year-old talk about core values and how the core values are shaping her to be who she's going to become later is extremely important to me as a parent. And being able to teach kids those same core values is extremely important to me as well. So Purpose Prep is such a joy, not to just the community, but to this region, to this state, to this world, because we get to do what we love doing. And I want to conclude this with saying that at Purpose Prep, we have the opportunity to teach kids to be successful adults by being amazing kids who love learning. And to say that I have children who love learning is such a joy. Thank you all for listening.
Thank you. Tremaine Hamer?
Hello, good evening. First of all, I want to thank you guys for allowing this forum to happen. My name is Tremaine Hamer, and as my shirt says, I'm a proud parent of Purpose Prep. However, proud don't give the gratitude that I have for this school. First, as growing up in the North Nashville area, seeing the Purpose Prep pretty much the first reward school in the North Nashville area, so where children that grew up in the area that I grew up in areas that look like mine are receiving excellent education. That's something that blows my heart up. Also, with the demanding curriculum that Purpose Prep have, not just for the children, but for the parents to be a little bit more involved in the children's educational careers, it has pretty much opened my eyes to see the simple fact that, every parent has the right to demand excellent education for all children, no matter district, no matter zip code, no matter charter or district. Lastly, putting my son in school was one of the most scariest things that I ever had to endure in life. And that's growing up in North Nashville, getting robbed, jumped, and shot at almost every day. However, I made the correct decision. Now, my oldest son has the necessary tools needed to be successful in life. Now, my youngest son is something that I never had a chance to get ready to experience because my youngest son is autistic. And seeing what that school has done for my child, when doctors had put limitations on him, when other people question if he's going to be okay, seeing my son thrive at that school, not only reading, but comprehending what he reads and seeing those children interact with my son is heartwarming. Knowing that my son, after he leaves that school, his potential is limitless. Caleb may be a child that y'all may see as autistic, but as far as he goes, the rest of the world will see him as a rock star. I am in support of Purpose Prep. I am in support of demand for excellent education, and I hope you guys see it the same way. Thank you.
Good evening, members of the board. My name is Jace Parker, and I am a third grade student at Purpose Preparatory Academy Charter School. I have been a Purpose Prep scholar since kindergarten. I have learned a lot, and it has made me much smarter. I love Purpose Prep because of how they treat us respectfully. Purpose Prep is a very high-performance school, and I learn many things from how they teach us. I understand that they want us to go to the next level to grow our brains so we can learn, but we have to push through and show self-determination to get better. We have many subjects during class. We have subjects during the day, and my favorite subject is math. I like math because you get to use different operations and tools to solve a problem. Purpose Prep is a very important school and one you can trust. And eventually, with the help of our teachers at Purpose Prep, we will all be set on the path to college. I couldn't have done all this work up to third grade without my parents. I'm so glad that they choose Purpose Prep for me. I love Purpose Prep, and it is the best school for me.
Okay, okay, here we go.
Hello, everyone. Thank you all so much for hosting this. My name is Courtney Brown. I'm also a proud Purpose Prep parent, and my address is 159 Tusculum Square Drive, Nashville, Tennessee, 37211. And I just want to talk about the things I really, really enjoy about my son's school. He's a sixth grader, and this past May, when I was pregnant with her, I had to be sat down and told that my son would need to repeat kindergarten if he was going to go to Purpose Prep. And at first, I thought that it was going to be the worst thing in life and so embarrassing to have him go back. But then this year, these things were the reason that I just, as a parent, do not regret my decision. First and foremost, as previously spoken about, there are 2 teachers in the classroom. And so all of the students have a lot of dedication, and they're all showed an equal amount of attention in the classroom. And being the type of parent that comes in and sits in, that's phenomenal for me. The next thing is that there's more support, especially for cases of disciplining students. When I was growing up, the teachers had to deal with the discipline, and then when it got to a certain amount of discipline needed, then you sent them to the office. But there's just so much support, and sitting there and seeing that you don't have to worry about teachers getting angry with students or whatever. They know how to speak to the students, and then if something is getting out of control, then someone else comes, and they still have such a gentle nature with the students. The next thing is that we have encouragement as parents. We're encouraged to actually be a part of their learning, whether it's via homework, whether it's being, involved in their actual schooling. That's super important to me. They learn their core values. My 6-year-old knows things that I never thought he would understand. Things like self-determination and respect and knowing that he has a purpose. Those things are so important, and I apologize for her interruption. She has a lot to say, too. She's there with me. Also, because of this, he's had a lot of better behavior at home. He holds himself accountable. He holds us accountable. And if he sees that we're not doing something that he's supposed to be modeling or that he's not, we can repeat those things back to each other, and it gives me a basis for the type of morals that I should be teaching my son. The next thing is that parents are held accountable, so teachers really do appreciate the fact that when they come in and they already have their homework done and things like that, that's not something that we're having to hear students being talked to about in the classroom, because we're all, if they don't get their homework done, then we get talked to about it as well. So that's not just something that's held to the standard for the child. The next thing is that the teachers work hard to know most, if not all, students, including you. So the fact that I can walk through the halls and they know Billy, they know what his issues are, they know his personality, they know who he is. He's not just another statistic walking through the classroom. Well, I had more, but thank you guys so much for the ability to come and speak in front of you guys. I appreciate it. Y'all have a wonderful day.
Thank you. Is Lawrence Newman here?
I'm standing right here.
Okay, good.
Well, thank you, board members, for allowing me the opportunity to advocate for Purpose Prep. My name is Lawrence Newman, and I'm sure you've heard quite a few people speak on Purpose Prep. I want to thank the people for coming out this evening, and I want to give a shout out to the Purpose Prep family. Since you done heard a lot about Purpose Prep, I'm a proud parent of a Purpose Prep leader, Reka Newman. So let me share some things to you about her. Purpose Prep is her calling. She has been, and she feels that every child have a purpose in life. And this has been her calling since the inception of Purpose Prep. I'm also a proud grandparent of a scholar at Purpose Prep. I have an 8-year-old third grader at Purpose Prep. And he told me when he first came to Purpose Prep, he felt that the work was very difficult for him. But now, I can't keep him from school. He told me, he said, Grandpa, if it's anything that I'm gonna get a reward in, it's gonna be perfect attendance and doing my homework. So I say, hey, that's enough for me. But anyway, I just want the board to understand that my advocate is that consider the fact to keep the enrollment of 360 students at the Purpose Prep Academy, because they all have a purpose. And after all, these children are our future. I thank you for your time, and you all have a lovely evening.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Miracle Walker. I believe I'm supposed to be number 10 where Mr. Hamer is because he was accidentally listed twice. But I, too, am a Purpose Prep parent. And I just wanted to say that Natalia Walker is my scholar. She's in the 2nd grade. And I jokingly tell everyone that Natalia's been attending Purpose Prep since she was in a car seat. And that's because we are a founding family. My son has completed the process of Purpose Prep from grades K through 4th. And after seeing everything that he accomplished there, sending Natalia anywhere else wasn't an option. I chose Purpose Prep for my son because I was extremely disappointed with the education that my children were receiving at the time at MQ Elementary. I figured anything had to be better than that, so I stepped out on faith and applied to Purpose Prep. I am so thankful that I did. The curriculum is amazing. I especially appreciate how Purpose Prep understands that learning doesn't always take place in the classroom, and there are some things in life that you just have to experience. The staff is extremely supportive of their families, from returning phone calls and emails during school break to helping families register to vote. They do their very best to set everyone up for success. It is obvious they are there because they are passionate about educating the students. This means a lot to me as a parent. Purpose Prep not only provides scholars with an excellent education, they are teaching them to be good people, good citizens, and leaders of tomorrow. From the very first day that scholars set foot in the building, they are told that they have a purpose. They are reminded of this daily until they leave. For some, this may be their only source of inspiration. Every child deserves to be inspired, motivated, and educated. Scholars receive all of this at Purpose Prep. I'm standing before you as a parent that has already completed the process, and I believe that it's imperative that the amendment to this charter be made to 360 so as many kids can experience this as possible. And I also just want to say, like, post-Purpose Prep, my scholar has attended STEM camps, he's won robotic awards, and due to his high testing scores, he has already been skipped a grade. So I honestly believe that these things have happened due to the foundation that Ms. Newman and his staff have laid at Purpose Prep. Thank you.
Buenas noches a todos. Mi nombre es Armando Arzate.
Can I have a request, please? Are you going to interpret for him? Why don't you let him read like 1 or 2 lines at a time, and then you follow behind him so we can hear both clearly?
We only request that you give us double time because it's going to
I
take
don't know about
twice as
double
long.
time, but we'll work with you on the time.
Okay, appreciate it.
Mi nombre es Armando Arzate. Buenas noches a todos.
My name is Armando Arzate. Good evening, everybody.
Gracias por permitirnos estar aquí. Estamos aquí porque hicimos un trabajo de concreto en una de las escuelas de ustedes, que es McMurray Middle School.
Thank you for letting us speak today. I wanted to speak because I'm here because me and my crew did work at one of the Nashville public schools at McMurray Middle School.
Hicimos un trabajo de concreto también en la Escuela de Divinidad en Vanderbilt, la cual, gracias a los maestros y los estudiantes de esa escuela, no lo pudieron pagar.
We also did work at the Vanderbilt Divinity School, and thanks to both students and professors at that school, we were finally paid for our work.
Hicimos el trabajo con la misma compañía que fue Orion y Johas en una de la escuela de ustedes, que es McMurray Middle School.
We worked for the same general contractor, Orion, and subcontractor, Joe Haas, at both the Vanderbilt Divinity School that we did for McMurray Middle.
Queremos pedirle el apoyo de ustedes para que ellos nos paguen porque no nos han pagado y los trabajos están terminados.
We're asking for your help to ensure that we get paid because we did the work. And we still have not been paid for the work that we performed at McMurray Middle School.
Esta misma petición se la hice yo a los políticos cuando estaban tirando su campaña. Ellos solo prometieron ayudarnos, pero solo prometieron. Nadie ha hecho nada al respecto.
¿Quiénes?
Lo hice con David Riley, con Cooper y algunos de los demás.
Mm-hmm. So we've spoken with other people about it, including local elected officials, and we've gotten promises, but we haven't got any action, and that's what we really need to see.
Yo confío en los maestros porque creo en ustedes. Creo que su palabra de ustedes es muy valiosa, tanto es así que ustedes educan a nuestros hijos.
And we really, I really look to teachers and to you because we know that I trust your word and that I trust because you're educating our children.
Yo vengo de una familia donde me educaron que mi palabra vale más que una firma en un papel.
I come from a family in which I was taught that my word was more important than anything I wrote on a sheet of paper.
Cuando hicimos el trabajo en esas dos escuelas, yo prometí con los builders ahí que yo iba a terminar el trabajo y lo terminamos.
When I took on the work at McMurray Middle, I promised that I was going to do the work. I promised that to the builders, and I followed through on that promise.
Ellos prometieron también ayudarnos, que iban a empujar a Johas a pagarnos, pero no lo hicieron.
And Orion?
Orion.
And Orion, the general contractor, also promised that they were going to pressure Joe Haas to pay us and do the right thing, and they haven't kept their word.
Entonces, por eso insisto, queremos pedirles su apoyo de todos ustedes y se los agradeceríamos como no se imaginan de todo corazón para que ellos puedan pagarnos.
And that's why I ask that you do what you can to ensure that we get paid. And I mean it from the bottom of my heart. Anything that you can do to ensure that we get our just pay for the work that we performed.
Nosotros somos una compañía muy pequeña, mi primo y yo, y los trabajadores que trabajan para nosotros. Entonces, nosotros tuvimos que tener dinero prestado para poder pagar a los trabajadores.
My cousin and I run a very small company, and in order for us to ensure that all of our workers were paid, we had to take out loans in order to make ends meet and to ensure that we kept our word with our workers.
También tuvimos que empeñar la camioneta de mi primo, la mía, para poder tener dinero para seguir soportando el pago de los trabajadores.
And we had to pawn both my truck and my cousin's truck in order to have enough money to do that.
Entonces, ahora, insistiendo, queremos el apoyo de ustedes, por favor, que nos ayuden a que ellos nos paguen.
So just once again, I insist that please you do what you can to ensure that we get paid.
Gracias por su atención, por su tiempo y que Dios los bendiga.
Thank you for your attention, thank you for your time, and God bless.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Rafael Medina, is he here tonight?
He is, and I'm back up.
Oh, okay.
Hola, ¿cómo están? Muchas gracias por la oportunidad que nos dieron de estar aquí, yo y mi primo Armando.
Hi, thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak with you today, both myself and my cousin Armando.
Para que nos ayuden, para que nos paguen. Y como él dijo, nosotros ya les pagamos a los trabajadores, pero todavía no nos pagan ellos a nosotros.
And to, like he said, to ask for your support and help, because like he mentioned, we ensured that all of our crew was paid, and yet we still have not been paid for the work that we performed.
Y hubo muchas veces que mi primo y yo queríamos ya no seguir trabajando porque no teníamos dinero para soportar la gente, pero decidimos acabar el trabajo para así tener algo que habíamos terminado el trabajo.
When we were doing the cement work at the school, there were many times where my cousin and I, we talked about the fact we just need to leave this job and not continue it because we still had not been getting paid and there was excuse after excuse. But we came to the conclusion that we had to stick to our word and complete what we had begun, no matter what it took to ensure that we also were able to pay our crew.
Y pues eso es todo por mí. Muchas gracias por escucharnos y queremos su apoyo para a ver si nos pagan y muchas gracias.
That's all I have to say. I just ask again that you do what you can to step in and ensure that we get paid for the work we did, and thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Good evening, Chair, members of the board, and Dr. Battle. My name is Andrew Record, and my address is 2804 Belmont Boulevard. I teach 8th grade English learners at Apollo Middle School, and I'm here with dozens of fellow teachers and MNEA members because I can't just sit back and do nothing as the workers who build our schools are cheated and exploited. One thing I've learned in my years of teaching is that my students are always watching, even if I think they're not. They watch how I act to inform their ideas about what's right, what's wrong, and what's normal. Students look to teachers and to every adult for not only examples of how to live, but for hope. Students come to us with their biggest questions and their biggest dreams. Questions like, who am I in the world? Or who in the world am I? What are my choices? And what are my chances? I encourage my students to ask these questions of themselves and to each other, to imagine what world might be possible, and to grasp the power they have to create the world they want to live in. Yet students know that they share this world with us, and even though they have so many reasons not to, they continue to hope that adults in positions of power will bring the same kind of imagination as co-creators of their world. Dr. Battle and members of the board, you have the responsibility to make sure that the workers who build our schools get paid. As teachers, we know that our working conditions are our students' learning conditions, but without people like Armando, Rafael, Carlos, Katerina, Manuel, Jaime, Eduardo, and Armando Jr., there would be no schools. Whatever choices you make after tonight, whatever you are able to imagine can and should be done, please ask yourselves this question. What kind of world are you creating? And remember, our students are watching.
Next, we have George Akeem, Carlos Aquino, Katerina Hernandez. Please come down.
Hi, it's actually Akeem George.
Sorry about that.
No worries.
I read it
And
backwards.
my address is 102 Avalon Bay Drive. And I'm coming as a representative of Sunrise Nashville. On December 6th, we're having a climate strike, and we're going to be joining cities across the country demanding bold action to address the climate crisis that's threatening our future. And I'm here requesting that you excuse students who wish to attend the climate strike on Friday, December 6th. We had a strike in September, and cities had excused students from school in those places when we had the strike before. And during the day, we'll be having a teach-in, educating students on how the unfolding crisis will affect society and the world at large if the climate crisis is not met with bold action. We'll also be teaching students about striking and nonviolent action and their place in the success of movements in the past, such as civil rights and labor movements. Through this teach-in, we'll empower students to engage in politics in a meaningful way. Education is designed to prepare students for the future, and this unfolding crisis will have dramatic impacts on every aspect of their futures. It's only right to let these students begin to shape how their futures will look. And we'll have a way to verify students' attendance at the teach-in. I think somebody's been in contact with a member of the school board from our group. So you'll know students won't be out just like hanging out and playing hooky. Yeah, and thank you for your time. And also pay these people for the work that they've done. Thank you.
Carlos Aquino? No? Come on down.
Okay. Buenas tardes.
Good evening.
Estoy aquí por mis patrones, han sido buenos amigos.
I'm here because my employers have been good with me.
Hubo un atraso con los cheques para pagarme, pero ellos lo resolvieron y pues gracias a Dios comieron mi familia. No sé cómo lo hicieron ellos, pero
And even though they were not paid for the work that we performed, they ensured that we got checks and that I was paid. And thank God, I've been able to, I've been paid so that I can, so that me and my family are good.
y por eso los vengo a apoyar a ellos, porque si ellos hacen un esfuerzo para pagarme, pues hay que apoyarlos, yo pienso.
So that's why I'm here, because if they made the effort to ensure that we were paid, I ask you to make the effort to ensure that they get paid.
Es todo. Muchas gracias.
That's everything.
Ojalá que,
All right.
que Dios nos ayude.
And thank you, and hopefully you will help make this happen.
Gracias.
Okay, ¿está bien? Okay.
Buenas noches.
Good evening.
Mi nombre es Katerina Hernandez
My name is Katerina Hernandez,
y soy trabajador de Armando y Rafael.
and I'm one of the workers of Armando and Rafael's crew.
Él nos pagó y a ellos todavía no les han pagado.
So even though they paid us, they still haven't been paid for the work that we did.
Y gracias, muchas gracias por el tiempo.
That's all I wanted to say. Thank you for your time.
Es todo.
Manuel Marquez and Jaime Marquez, are they here?
Buenas noches. Bueno, pues es el mismo problema de que traemos, ¿verdad? Pues que queremos que le paguen a nuestros patrones. Ellos sí nos pagaron a nosotros. Yo soy trabajador de ellos también, de Armando y Rafael. Gracias.
Good evening. I'm here for the same reason that others have spoken for. I worked for Armando and Rafael and concrete work, and we were paid for the work we did, and we're asking you to ensure that our employer is also paid.
Gracias.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Jaime Marquez here. Eduardo Galan.
Buenas noches, mi nombre es Jaime Márquez. Yo fui contratado por Armando y Rafael. Gracias a Dios ellos sí me pagaron a mí, pero no sé cómo lo hicieron, pero a ellos no les han pagado.
Hi, my name is Jaime Marquez. I also worked with Rafael and Armando, and I don't know how they did it, but they made sure that I got paid, and I just, it's only right that they also be paid for the work we did.
Y pues hoy he venido a apoyarlos a ellos y para pedirles que nos ayuden, para que les paguen a ellos y que todo salga bien. Muchas gracias por su tiempo. Gracias.
And I've just come here to ask you to ensure that they also get paid for the work they did and to support them. That's, I want to say thank you for your time this evening, and I'll go on.
Thank you.
That's everything.
Eduardo Galan. Going once. Molly Williams. Oh.
Good evening, Chair, members of the board, and Dr. Battle. My name is Molly Williams, and my address is 2804 Belmont Boulevard. As a current student at Vanderbilt Divinity School, I know this is not the first time Orion subcontractor Joe Haas has exploited workers. This past summer, Armando and his team negotiated with Orion for $66,000 in unpaid work they performed at Vanderbilt Divinity School. Only after pressure on the university from Armando's team, students, and faculty did Orion finally pay the workers the full amount. The students and faculty at the Divinity School realized an incongruity and a lack of harmony. Our Divinity School, a building inscribed with words like justice, love, peace, and healing, was built by workers who were not paid. Ultimately, the Divinity School decided to align with their values and made sure Armando and his team received their unpaid wages. I now look to the mission and core values of MNPS. Among the core values is equity. We believe in equitable access and opportunities for all students, the website says. The website also says the core values reflect the principles that guide the internal conduct as well as relationships with the external community. Board members, we need you to walk the talk. Does this equity not extend to the workers who build our schools? How can our students and community members trust that you value equity and opportunity when our learning institutions are built on stolen labor? If MNPS seeks to live out these core values, the school board has a responsibility to make sure Armando and his team are paid. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. John Riley. Rachel Ternes. Okay.
I'm not Sean, but I'm going to take their time because they're not here. So my name's Elizabeth Cashier, and I'm also a second-year Master of Divinity student at Vanderbilt Divinity School, and a member of First Unitarian Universalist Church in Green Hills. So thank you so much for your time this evening. I'm a former educator as well, so really appreciate hearing from everyone this evening. And just as I sit here and think about what Armando and his cousin must have gone through to pay their workers and not get paid themselves, my heart really breaks. I can't even imagine coming up with $43,000 just to ensure that you are, having your own integrity when your higher ups will not pay you. And so I just wanted to add to the voices this evening that I hope that you will do the right thing and join us in being able to put pressure on the company to pay those wages. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Rachel Ternes.
Good evening, Chair, members of the board, and Dr. Battle. My name is Rachel Ternes, and my address is 2207 Hermosa Street. I'm also a student pursuing my Master of Divinity at Vanderbilt Divinity School, and I'm also a youth minister, and many of the teenagers I work with attend MNPS schools. I'm here to support Armando and RSA Concrete. I met Armando this past summer when some of my classmates and I found out that he and his team had worked on the new addition to our school and hadn't been fully paid. We felt indebted to these workers for the labor they put in to make our education physically possible, and we dove into figuring out how we could get them paid. My classmates and I, as well as Vanderbilt Divinity School administrators, were shocked to find out how little ethical oversight Orion, the contractor, and Joe Haas, the subcontractor that hired Armando, were subject to. And we were, and we were honestly disturbed to witness how easily they took advantage of that. Throughout our work on this project over the summer, the glaring contrast between the honest integrity of Armando's team and the unscrupulous selfishness of the companies that exploited them became painfully clear. Fortunately, Vanderbilt Divinity School and Vanderbilt University leadership were committed to practicing the values that they preach and teach. They impressed upon Orion the necessity of paying the workers, and Orion finally took responsibility and wrote the check. But now it's MNPS's turn to find that moral courage. Now we are seeking Armando's $43,000 in claimed wages for the work he and his team did on McMurray Middle School. I will keep speaking up for the workers who helped build my school until they are paid. And I pray that those who make decisions about the spaces where my teenagers in my youth ministry learn will ensure that those spaces are built morally and fairly. I pray that the school board will recognize how this injustice reflects on the integrity of MNPS and will make sure Armando and his team are paid, will hold Orion Building Corporation morally responsible for all the workers on all the projects that they do with MNPS, and in the future will only enter into contracts with general contractors that use surety bonds or other similar mechanisms that guarantee that injustices like this don't happen again. Thank you so much for your time.
Hi, I'm Jack Willy, 97 J Street in the neighborhood of Woodbine, and a proud parent of a kindergartner in MNPS. I want to thank school board for taking the time, oh, there he is, to listen to the long list of community members, parents, teachers, and others who are standing up in support of RSA, Armando, and Rafael. And as a parent, I just want to say I deeply respect all the work that you do. I know it's not easy, and all the hard work of our underpaid and underappreciated teachers, paraprofessionals, and staff. and everything you do every day to advocate for them and advocate for our kids. It makes a world of difference. But I really come here today because I'm very frustrated. We informed the administration in June that this was happening. In June. Where are we in? November, right? And what do we get? We get the runaround. Every single time, it's not our fault. It was the contractor that didn't pay. We've heard this a million times. We know how it works. And one thing that I know that the schools and our teachers instill in our children is that actions have consequences. And at the end of the day, Metro Schools contracted with Orion. They chose to contract with a company that would not guarantee that everybody in their work site was paid. That was a choice. It was a choice that hurt people. It was a choice that made people have to pawn off their work trucks in order to ensure that everyone was made full on their crew. These are decisions that can be changed. And I think, once again, the administration has a choice in front of them. And the board exercises a great deal of moral authority in ensuring that this is carried out. There's a choice to be made. Will you pull together all the parties involved, make them see the receipts, show the receipts, and ensure that everybody is paid? Will you make the choice to ensure that this doesn't happen again? That going forward, companies like Orion, if they refuse to take responsibility for everybody on their site, that they don't get these type of contracts. That only those that use surety bonds or other mechanisms like that do, that we begin using high road employers, that we start setting the kind of example that we want for our children, that every single day I know you are out there advocating for it to happen. But this is hurting children. This is hurting the parents of children. And if this happened once, twice, right? Because it happened at Vanderbilt too. I can promise it's happened multiple times. These are not one-off events. Thank you for your time. I really appreciate you listening to all of us today.
Evelyn Negron.
Hello, my name is Bobili Negron. I too live in 97 J Street. I had the privilege to be an interpreter for Armando when he went to the teachers' union to talk about what happened to him and his co-workers. And when I found out about the theft that took place, it too really hurt me as well as a parent and someone that truly respects all workers in this city. The biggest takeaway I took from Armando's story was the fact that he's a parent and just the pride that he has for the work that he does in the city, especially in the schools. Maybe not so much the school that his kids go to, but knowing that he and his team of workers laid foundation for schools here in our city, and just the pride and that he has and his team to know that they've built and constructed schools here, but then to turn around to his children and say, well, we didn't really get paid. We didn't get paid a dime, but we saw the need to build and construct the necessities for this school and for also for Vanderbilt. I'm here as a parent and also just as a worker to say that this construction company, to make sure all construction workers and subcontractors on MNPS projects be fully paid for their labor. And just looking at the people sitting behind me, holding the signs, these two are parents that work, whether it's construction or painting industries or cleaning the schools that our kids go into. But what an example you all can be today by saying, well, we're going to no longer work with this company because we want to protect all our parents and the workers of our city. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Amanda Kale. I'm the president of the Metro Nashville Education Association. Thank you for listening tonight. I know there's a lot that's placed on your shoulders, and there's a lot of pressure to do things right. I just want to say that MNEA is here in solidarity with Armando and the other workers here. He came to our representative assembly and told his story. And the thing that struck me was that he said, I realized we weren't going to get paid, but education is important, so we built the school anyway. That means a lot. We're talking about someone who has really demonstrated, that his word is worth more than money. And I think that really struck home to us. We voted unanimously to support him and his colleagues. And I think it's because teachers really recognized that Armando and his colleagues are not just construction workers. They're our families. They're our communities. They're our students. And we need to be there to support them as they support us. They've already made a great sacrifice to support McMurray Middle School. I ask that we do the same, that we follow Armando's example and stand by our word of what we believe in equity and in justice. We make sure that all the construction workers and subcontractors on MNPS projects be fully paid going forward, that we hold general contractor Orion Building Corporation morally responsible for all workers on their projects with MNPS, and that we only enter into contracts with general contractors that use surety bonds or similar mechanisms that guarantee everyone who works to improve our schools are fully paid. Those are the things that we really just have to do. We live in a world with a lot of injustice, and there's a lot of things out there, and I know that we often look to the schools to fix everything, and I know what that's like. But this is a chance we have to get it right and actually fix it wrong. So let's do the right thing. Let's make sure that Armando and his workers are paid. Thank you.
Last person on the list tonight is Armando Azate Jr.
Hola, buenas noches. Mi nombre es Armando Jr. Soy el hijo de Armando Arzate.
Hi, good evening. I'm Armando Jr. I'm the son of Armando Arzate.
Quería pedirles de favor que hicieran todo lo posible, lo que está en sus manos para poder ayudar a mi papá y a mi tío para que les paguen.
I ask that you do everything in your power to ensure that my father and my uncle are paid.
Y de mi parte les agradezco mucho por haber escuchado a todos los trabajadores que están aquí para ayudarles.
And for my part, I just want to say I really appreciate everything, all the words that have been spoken of other workers here who are here supporting us today.
Gracias y que tengan buena noche.
Thank you very much and have a good evening.
Thank you. We'll move to governance issues, our organization, and to continue with the practice that we started at our last board meeting. We will no longer be reading the board consent agenda from allowed on the board floor. Do I have any changes to the consent agenda? Ms. Perry?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would like to pull the item H, 2021 district calendar for discussion, please.
Okay. Anybody else?
Also, number 12, Tennessee School Boards Association.
Ms. Walker?
What is this? What is this? G, which is the amendment to Board Policy 3.300 Code of Conduct.
Anybody else? Okay. This time I'll entertain a motion to accept the consent agenda as amended.
I move approval of the consent agenda as amended.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. All right. So we will start with.
Can we get a vote on that?
I'm sorry. We need a show of hands to vote. All in favor? Okay. Anybody opposed? Thank you. let's see, we'll start with amendment to board policy. Ms. Walker.
Okay. So, Dr. Severe, did you want to address? So we had a small change to language at the very end tail end of the contract of the policy.
We did, that's correct. And you voted on it, and so let's get it in the proper posture. So we have discovered the missing words, and the last two words should be the county. So it should be inhabitants of the county, which makes a lot of sense, but we wanted to make sure that we got it right. So I would ask that you consider that policy to adopt it as amended from the floor.
Can I just move approval for that? Anything else?
Yeah.
I'd like to move approval of the amendment to Board Policy 3.300 Code of Conduct with the addition of the language, this county, the county.
Okay. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, thank you. That motion passes. We'll move on to.
Can I vote?
Vote, I'm sorry. Sorry, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we'll move on to number 12, the Tennessee School Board Association. Ms. Bugs?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted to pull this from the consent agenda so we could just have a quick discussion and make sure that the community knew what was happening with this. At our retreat last month, we talked about a board search, and now we have a contract with the Tennessee School Board Association to engage in a director search. I, of course, am still in favor of us maintaining our current director, but I guess if we move forward with this TSBA contract, they'll be engaging in community discussion so that we can get input and buy-in and, of course, shout from the rooftops that the community wants us to keep our current director because she's MNPS homegrown. She just represents all the great things that come from us. But wanted to see, when will the community engagement begin? How can community members make sure that their voices are heard if they want to just speak up?
Well, that's a good question, Ms. Bugs. And so in my conversations I've had with the TSBA, they will begin immediately after tonight. And they will include, those community meetings will include conversations with all of our stakeholders. I mean, teachers, parents, leadership in our schools. We will have a luncheon for elected officials to attend. I mean, they will leave no stone unturned, and by doing it now, before the holiday season gets fully cranked, they'll be able to record all the comments and bring them to our next retreat on January the 10th.
Okay.
And like I said in the memo that I sent y'all, on the conference call, I was probably the person who said, no, I'm not convinced that this is the right thing to do. But after listening to compelling reasons, I decided to go ahead. And, we wrote into Dr. Battle's contract that she can apply for the job on a permanent basis. And, I think that was good foresight. We want to make sure that we have a permanent director sitting in that seat who can participate in our budget talks, because that's important. And, if that person has some buy-in, that's even more important, with some skin in the game. And so, she has some large decisions to make as far as hiring decisions. And, I was thinking about the people applying for those positions. Will they be more willing to apply if they think that, oh, my boss will be changing in 6 weeks or 2 months? And I think the answer to that is yes. I think that would I want to go into a job not knowing whether or not the person that hired me would be the same person I'll be reporting to in a few weeks. So I think for all those reasons we are moving at the right speed. So.
And that all makes sense. I will say I was all prepared to make a motion to just make Dr. Battle our permanent director. But I do think that she is the cream that will rise to the top. I think that when the community has some say, that they can let us know how happy they are for us to have a less chaotic, less tense time, that they will rally behind you the way we have. So I'm okay with it. I just want to make sure that the community knows, and I want to make sure that we don't continue to sometimes overlook the same communities or community members. I want to make sure that communities that have typically not been engaged have a chance to be engaged. So part of it will be on us as 9 to make sure we put it out to every community member, every stakeholder, to make sure that everyone has a say.
And feel free to, share with me who you think that has been forgotten and who we want to include, because I'm happy to do that. Dr. Gentry.
So I'm sure that the expectation of this entire board, as it has been with past searches, is that this organization that we're engaged to lead this search will present a plan for the entire board to take a look at. Because I know that was a lot of the concern that was voiced in previous searches, that no one knew what was going on. And so it's nice to know that TSBA intends to do these things. I think that this board would expect to see a documented plan and timeline so that those communities are documented. And then I think it's easier for us to give the feedback on are the right groups of people being talked to, and we're getting feedback from the right groups. So my bigger question would be, and I'm sure you don't have the answer to this today, because once this vote goes wherever it's going to go, is to find out when their documented plan and timeline of engagement is going to take place, where are those meetings going to be held, how's that communication going to get to those constituents are also very important. And so since Ms. Buggs has started the theme of, so the community knows, do know we don't have to do a search. So I know she threatened to put the vote out there, but it's also an option for us to just go on and put the vote out there.
Dr. Gentry, I thought I had, and I could be wrong, I thought I had shared with my colleagues their timeline document.
I don't remember seeing it. You may have. It's the overall timeline.
I'll send that out tomorrow.
Okay.
Because I did get that. I got the timeline. I got the different stakeholder groups that they plan on reaching out to. And
yeah, that would be good.
Yeah. So
and then we can give feedback to that.
Yeah.
That'd be helpful.
So I'll send that out tomorrow just to make sure everybody has that.
Appreciate it.
Okay. No problem. So I'll entertain a motion to
One comment.
You have something?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. I too support Dr. Battle, and I think, from the past of having a director search, I've heard the monstrous process that we've taken before, and the amount of money and politics that played into it was very nasty. So I think having TSBA to oversee this process will really help us, and we'll be very transparent and make sure the community knows what's happening, and we think it'd be a fair process so that no one can come back and say that MNPS or the school board did not follow due diligence. Because how much did we spend last time on a director search? Does anybody know?
I have no idea, but it was a lot more than the 11.5 on this contract, that's for sure.
Okay. So that's where I stand, so thank you, guys.
Anybody else? Okay, I'll entertain a motion to approve number 12 on the consent agenda.
I'll move that. Go ahead.
All right, thank you. Can I get a second?
Second.
Can I get, anybody have any further discussion on that? Okay, great. So show of hands for a vote? Finally remember. Okay, great, that passes. That's awesome. Thank you, everybody. And the one last thing, Ms. Spearing, on item H.
I know this is something this board loves to talk about.
Love it.
Yes.
I was so excited.
My favorite thing.
But this is, the calendar is a concern not only to teachers, but also to students, and especially even to parents. And one of the things that I'm hearing from my constituents is the concern about election days. And so I'd like to hear some, I'd like to get some understanding of what election days are ahead of us, and how many of those days we will be in school. And I see that there's one on the calendar on the 11th on the 3rd of November, where the schools will be, students will not be there, but teachers will be there on that particular election day.
Well, I do know, I'm going to let Dr. Battle address that, but I do know that the first Thursday of August is an election day as well. It could, and so it's probably going to be a big election day. So that is why the students are not in school that day.
what she said?
November 3rd, right?
November 3rd.
November 3rd and August 6th.
August 6th, yeah.
Okay.
August 6th.
What did I say?
You said first.
Oh, sorry.
It's all right.
Thank you for the question, Ms. Spearing, also for the response, Ms. Shepherd. I'll have, real quickly, a couple of the leaders from the calendar committee come up to the podium. Howard McAdory and James Whitty, Dr. Whitty, will come up and just kind of echo what Ms. Shepherd has shared regarding election days for next year's calendar.
Absolutely. Dr. James Whitty. So November 3rd is a national election day, which is one of, if I remember correctly, there's a state law that requires schools to, for it not to be a regular school day for instruction. So we did use one of our days so that students wouldn't report to school that day. Then the other day was August 6th, just knowing that that would be a big, I think, primary day as well.
So those are the only two election days on the calendar. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
Yeah.
great. Thank you so much. That is very helpful for the parents that have this concern.
Yes, ma'am. And we actually, in the updated version, put that on the calendar just to let parents know that students are out because of the election as well, because it's also in the middle of the week, and sometimes parents don't understand why we're taking a day kind of in the middle as opposed to a Friday or a Monday.
Yes.
Yeah.
And MNEA is in support of this calendar, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Because I know that teachers will be in those buildings on those days without the security of a locked door. So that is a concern for some. But if MNEA is behind this and has completely supported this calendar, then I'm okay with it.
Yes, ma'am. And they've been a partner every step of the way.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Anybody have? Yes, ma'am.
Excuse me, sir?
Dr. Whitty.
Dr. Whitty?
Mr. McAdory.
Thank you.
Was the support staff union, SEIU, a part of the strategic plan process? It wasn't mentioned in the letter?
Yes, ma'am, they were.
Yeah.
And the lights changed.
Yes. Thank you.
Okay.
Well,
Okay.
time to go.
Ms. Elrod? Dr. Whitty?
Sorry, you can't go yet.
Okay, I'm just going to stay.
Thank you.
All right, so it's my understanding that the original start date, or I guess we'll say start week, was August the 10th. Is this correct?
No, ma'am, it was the first full week of August was initially what we proposed. One of the concerns, and it's a valid concern, is the way that the pay periods fall. That impacted a lot of our support personnel. So that kind of goes to your question as well. We took that into consideration because we realize it's hard when you start during the middle of a pay period and you don't make a lot, that it's challenging, and we wanted to make sure that they had close to a full paycheck.
Okay, because it seems clunky. I know that's not a great term, to have 2 days of going into school, then being out of school, then going back to school as the first week of school, because you're not able to get started on your studies, and it doesn't set a good precedent for starting your class. So I guess my question is why are we starting that week? Is it so that all of our staff can be paid in a timely fashion instead of starting on the week of the 10th?
That's definitely one of the considerations that we had in kind of moving that up. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay. Because it appears if we started on the week of the 10th that we would have a normal week of start dates and times, but we're not doing that because we don't want to
make sure we pay
short people.
So
Correct.
if we were to make a change like that, because that's we've investigated lots of different options, that pushes us into June, and that becomes problematic. Parents normally want to be out before June.
I am one of those parents. I feel you on that. Okay.
Yes, and I'll just probably echo, as a part of the representation for the calendar committee, we did have MNEA represented, we did have SEIU represented, other parents, other students, families, teachers to give input, and there's lots of desires around the calendar. So in trying to balance the approach, we did originally look at the second week of August, but in looking at first instruction being a priority, but also the supports for our employees. We wanted to make sure that the payroll calendar also aligned with the calendar, the instructional calendar as well.
I would like to say on a positive note that I am super happy that there's 2 half-days for pre-K and K. As a new kindergarten parent this year, that was a very difficult time to start on Monday with 1 half-day and then have a full week of full days with 2 melting down kindergartners. So
And that was absolutely a recommendation from the committee. So there are lots of recommendations that are really represented in this calendar.
Thank you.
Anybody else? I want to say thank you, Dr. Whitty, the entire calendar committee. I know that there was a little bit of drama last weekend, and everybody worked several days over the long weekend to make this happen for tonight. So I really do appreciate all that hard work. I know it's not easy. I don't want to be on the calendar committee. I don't even want to talk about it. But, you know, I really do appreciate everybody's hard work on that.
I'm about to be able to pass this. Oh, my gosh.
Mm-hmm. So I will entertain a motion to approve what is it now?
H.
Number H, so item H.
1H.
I move to accept the calendar as read or as presented.
Okay.
I second that.
Okay, all right. Any further discussion? All right, show of hands, put your vote. Woo-woo. Yay.
Yay, calendar.
Put this puppy to bed. All right.
The first time in how many years?
Exactly. Exactly. So we are going to move on to items 2, 3, 4, and 5. Dr. Battle, do you have anything you want to say around that?
Yes.
Okay.
Just very brief. So we have 4 amendments to charter contracts on the agenda this evening. Dr. Dennis Queen, Mr. Queen, our Executive Director of Charter Schools, will come to the podium and he will explain in detail each amendment.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
as I mentioned, I needed to leave like 30 minutes ago, and I'll
Okay.
just say that part of what I'm going to is the Scout Reach, I'm going to the Scout Reach dinner where we will be highlighting STEM prep and the STEM academies and that work, so thank you all for that. I just want to say that I'm in support of these amendments. And those of you remember that when I have been campaigning, my position has always been that if we're looking at this as these schools as part of our choice portfolio, especially, and I speak specifically for North Nashville, where our parents are challenged to find options for their students where they can feel confident and comfortable that their children are going to receive the outcomes that they want for their kids. And so I continue to say that as a district, I know that we all have our varied thoughts and opinions about the fiscal impact of charters. I don't think that this is going to be a major fiscal impact as I just look at it, but I know that Mr. Henson isn't here tonight. But I just want to continue to push, and I've mentioned this before, so this won't be news to anybody, that we started a conversation called MNPS Next to address the performance and the enrollment concerns in North Nashville and East Nashville. That conversation has fallen by the wayside. So, as I always say, I cannot in good conscience deny an opportunity for parents to make choices that are good for their kids when we're not stepping up and improving the options and opportunities in our community schools, specifically speaking in North Nashville. So I apologize for having to leave, but I did want to go on record as saying that I am grateful for the work that you all are doing with the kids, and I love to hear it when the kids come to the podium, so you can keep the parents, just keep sending the kids and talking about their experiences, because we know at a minimum they're going to tell us the truth. So I appreciate you all, and I apologize to my colleagues for having to leave, but I got to go give out some awards. Thank you.
Wait, Ms. Fogg.
Before we get started, I want to raise some concerns that have come up since the time that we set our agenda, and a lot of this kind of brewed up today, so I apologize for the last minute comments. But so it came to my attention today that one board member has been requesting information on a charter school, or perhaps on more than one of these, and feels that she has not gotten the information that she needs to take a vote, or is uncomfortable with not having the information to move forward. And then some of the information was embargoed. And so I've had constituents contacting me because they feel they haven't had a voice, or they haven't had time to review some of this information. And I want to be clear that my only intent here is to make sure that this is a very fair and transparent process, and that all the board members feel they have all the information they need to make a decision. So I am considering making a motion to table this until maybe one more meeting. I mean, but I have some questions before I make a motion. First of all, I first want to understand why we are having this discussion in November, because a few years back, we were talking about charter schools at nearly every meeting, and so we made kind of a collective decision, this is before you were here, that we would have those discussions in spring, and then that way we weren't spending the whole year talking about charter schools that serve a small population. And then second of all, I am curious as to why information was embargoed.
Well, I am too. That's the first I've heard of any information being embargoed. My team is not aware of any conversation or request for anything that we've not provided. So this is news to us. There is nothing embargoed that we're aware of.
Okay,
and again, no one's come to any of us asking for any information that we have not provided.
So, and this may be misunderstanding on my part, but I understand that there was some information that was not released until substantially after the agenda was released last week, so maybe over the weekend, and it was some of the documentation on the charters. Was that all, or it wasn't posted on the website, and I was told that it was embargoed? Is that not true?
So the agenda, the index of the agenda is released on Thursday. All the documentation goes to the board members. On the day of the board meeting, generally in the afternoon prior to the board meeting, all the slide decks, all the accompanying reports, all that information is publicly released. That's when it goes out. The public would see the list of contracts or the list of they would see that, for instance, Purpose Prep is on the agenda. But the information and reports that you are studying over the weekend is not released to the public until the time of the meeting.
Okay. And so one of the concerns that constituents were raising to me is that they were not aware of the real content of the vote that we're taking tonight, and they wanted to weigh in and might have tried to be here had they realized some of the votes that we're taking. And then the other issue is, why we're voting on this in November. Sure. Is there a reason?
Yes, ma'am. There's new legislation. Historically, we really haven't even been addressing the item of charter amendments. But recently, there were some law changes that set up timelines and windows. One of the things our office had to do was look at the gambit of things that we have to deal with. We have applications that used to come in February, letters of intent, that now we get December 1st. So there's some timelines that have been changed around in recent legislation. So we had to sit down and work around those timelines that the new state laws give us in order to figure out, now we have to take amendments to the board. We've never done that before that I'm aware of. So we have to figure out now, based on the law, what window do we have in order to for schools to submit applications for amendments, for us to review those applications for amendments, for us to determine our recommendation and then get it before the board. So that's why we're bringing amendments. Typically will come to you around this time every year. So that's why you're hearing this now. But, we now have renewals that are coming up. Those are going to be pushed into summer and early fall when we bring them to you for your initial vote or recommendation from our office. So there's some timelines that have been adjusted based on some recent legislative changes.
Okay, and if we were to move this vote till the next meeting so everybody is fully comfortable with that they have all the information they need, that everyone has a chance to speak, or, well, they can't speak next time, but to reach out to board members, is there any reason that we would be prohibited from voting at the next meeting?
Let me ask John to come up and step up and address that.
We would just have to do it at the next meeting. We did it this time because we know the next meeting would be right before Thanksgiving, so we wanted to make sure that we had a quorum to be able to vote. So it can be, but it would have to be the next one because we have that window that we have to, that you have to make a decision.
And I'm sorry, what are the parameters? What is causing us to make that decision?
It was the state board policy that came out that after we had so many days to review it and to make a motion for the board to vote.
Okay. And do we expect to have this every November, the review amendments every November now?
They're actually setting up 2 windows, one at this time, and then one either in January or February. I'll have to look to see what the exact date.
Okay. So I would like to make a motion to have the vote at our next meeting, and I'm open to discussion on that.
Can I get a second?
Okay.
Second.
All right. Any discussion on that? Claire?
So can you describe the technical process of what went into the recommendation process? And then what's the date for, if I want to start a brand new charter, what's the date for that process to start to be approved?
Yes, ma'am.
For next school year?
The process for amendments are we notify schools that if they want to submit a letter of intent to amend their current contract, they have to notify us by a particular date in writing. We get them, there's basically an application. It's much briefer than a new start. They have to go through the process of filling that out and giving us the rationale behind the requested amendment. Once we have that paperwork, our core team, which consists of 5 of us, in this case, will sit and read through that and make a determination whether we feel comfortable pushing a recommendation of either approving or denying that particular amendment. I will tell you there was another school that we will not be bringing an amendment to because we coached them and shared with them some information that we had, and they chose not to bring that forward. But we go through, we make that recommendation to the board, and then the board certainly discusses and votes on those recommendations.
Just wanted to also add that we have an extended core team that consists of representatives from EEEL that also reviewed this as well, so that if they had any questions or anything along that lines, that we could get those answered.
Yeah. It's just not as extensive as a new start or a replication, the review team. As far as new starts or replications, we have to have letters of intent by December 1. We received a letter today from someone. And then we have until, is it March? John, come here and tell the line. John's more familiar with the time. This is what he does in our office.
So on February 1, they have to submit the application, and we have 90 days from that point to for our teams to review any new application and submit a recommendation to the board. And then after your vote, whether if you approve, then we would move into a contract. If it's denial, they have 30 days to amend the contract, or excuse me, not contract, amend the application and resubmit it to us. And then after that, we have 60 days to review the amendment or amended application and for you to also vote. And then at that time is when, if you approve, we would move into a contract. If it's denied, then it would be, they could have the opportunity to appeal to, now it's the state board. It will move to the chartering authority board that Governor has set up.
Did I understand that we would be considering recommendations in November and January?
Or amendments, not
Amendments,
for
that's
the,
what I
not
meant.
for the, not for the new applications, but
Right.
just for the amendments.
Amendments, that seems like back to back?
Well, what they've done is, what the state board is trying to do is to set it up to where anything that's coming now has to do with enrollment changes or anything along that lines. Anything in January would be kind of minor changes to the contract that would not cause any fiscal impact.
So it seems like, it seems like we're back to talking about charter schools 4 to 5 times a year. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Which is 15% of our population, but that's a state requirement is?
Policy and state, yes.
Okay.
Ms. Blair?
Can you be more specific? What's defined as minor? Like, so is this like something of?
So if they were moving locations from one, I can't think off the top of my head, I apologize.
Moving locations, if it's an increase in their enrollment cap, sometimes it could be a decrease in enrollment cap we would bring before you.
Yes.
It's anything to the contract that's not, and again, you said, how do you define? Those are some minor examples that we would bring to the board for approval.
So would it be safe to assume that anything that doesn't require a fiscal impact, would that be considered minor?
Yes, yes.
Other than if
Well,
they're
fiscal
asking for an
impact as-
increase,
yeah,
if they're
as
looking for
in-
a cap increase, that would have an impact, yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Anybody else? Ms. Philbrook?
Okay, so I am the person that sent the email that said that I was uncomfortable, so I will speak on my behalf. So I stated that I was uncomfortable because I do think that we need to have information regarding requests, whether they're amendments, new openings, or any types of changes that have information about the fiscal information of how what that impact is going to look like. And so I have been asking for fiscal notes. So we have that information. Unfortunately, a lot of times on the board, we are kind of pulling those numbers from the air of how we think that's going to impact the BEP, our nutrition funding, or our Title I funding. And so I think that we need to have more clarity on what are those numbers. And then additionally, what is the effect on any type of enrollment around surrounding schools or wherever those students may come from if we're doing some type of increase or decrease in population within a school. So that's why I said I have been asking for those. That is not because I've been receiving a lot of pushback. It's just there's not been an agreement to do that, I will say, of having those numbers. And so I would like to be able to say that we have true data on what those are before we make an agreement or an understanding to increase or continue a population if we don't know what the numbers are going to be for that. So my example would be some of these amendments that we have, they're kind of a null situation where it's this equals this. In my district, Valor, who has wonderful test scores, there's great data within the deck about that, and that's also just well known because they are great at that. There is an increase in student population, so what is that going to look like for our end of budget? That kind of information so that we can speak eloquently to that and we actually know the true implications of our votes. So that's been my request, and that's why I said that I was uncomfortable, because I have been asking for that and I have not received it.
Anybody else?
Yes, I was ready to speak on this subject, and I will respectfully wait until the next meeting, until every one of my colleagues get the information that they need.
Concerning the fiscal impact, we would certainly work with some of the district area folks in determining what does that look like, what exactly does that encompass, and it would be a best guesstimate based on where they say they're going to draw kids, because it doesn't always pan out, but we can come up with some framework to make it part of the actual document that we send out to the board in advance.
I would like to say that I recognize that that cannot solely come from Dennis's group. That is a small group of people with a lot of things that they have to deal with. So I understand that it is not directly from you or your office or anyone that works for you, John. So I understand that. And I recognize that it cannot be an exact number, that it needs to be some type of span. Sure. But I still, we on the board continue to say that we cannot do something pro or for or against a charter, and we don't have true numbers that we're working off of. It's all assumptive. And I think that that's not a good work practice. And so that's why I'm asking for it.
And we'll be glad to work with the appropriate departments to figure out what that will look like and how we can pull that information together. Okay. And going forward, if it's the desire of the board, we can add a section in our report that talks about fiscal impact based upon how we figure that might best be represented. Okay.
Mr. Queen, I don't have any angst around delaying the vote. So it wouldn't really impact your department that much? Okay, all right. Yes, ma'am.
Can I make one more request? Could we also see wait lists, or if these schools have wait lists?
The ones that go through MNPS we can get. The ones who self-enroll, we would need to get that.
Most of those were in the report, if not all of them.
Okay. The wait lists were? Okay, I'll go back and look. Thank you.
Anybody else with any comments? All right, so we have a motion on the board floor, and it's been properly seconded to delay this vote until the second meeting of November, which is November the 26th. So barring any further discussion, I'll ask for a show of hands to approve this motion on the board floor. Okay, thank you very much, ladies. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Queen. So now we'll move on to announcements. Ms. Spearing.
Thank you. I would just like to ask if anyone in the audience is a veteran, if you would stand up, please. May be a bad time to do that.
I think they do.
Do we have any veterans in the audience? Doesn't look like it. Well, this has been a big week for Veterans Day, and on November 7th, Goodlettsville Elementary presented their annual tribute to our veterans, and it was a remarkable hour of our time, and there was not a dry eye in the building. Congressman Jim Cooper was there, Vice Mayor Jim Schulman was there, Councilman Zach Young was there, and Colonel Don Deering was there. There was a combination of theatrics and music, and it was a special time. I want to also give special thanks to Colonel Don Deering, who worked diligently with our board to secure Veterans Day being a holiday. And I know our staff enjoyed having that day off, and our central office as well. Also, we had it really takes, when students are out and teachers are out for a holiday like this, it takes a lot of energy for our students to be willing to get up and come to school or go to bundle up on some of these cold days and march in the Veterans Day Parade. But I want to thank the Maplewood Junior ROTC, the Cane Ridge Junior ROTC, and the marching band at Antioch High School for participating in the Veterans Day Parade, and I hope that we'll have even more schools that will participate in the future. My last announcement is that there will be a Teaching and Learning Committee meeting in 2 weeks, and we probably need to do that at 3:30 since we're going to have an executive session at 4:30.
Okay.
Thank you, ma'am.
Ms. Fire.
Yes, I'd like to comment just as a little bit of an amateur historian, just with my appointment, just kind of marking history. There's a famous, I guess, question or interview with Ruth Bader Ginsburg, is going to be enough women on the court? And she says, until there's 9. And just to mark the moment that there's 9 women on the school board, and that our term ends on August 2020, which is the 100th anniversary of the women's suffrage movement, which happened here down at the Hermitage Hotel, and will be celebrated with thousands of women and a bunch of events going on. And so, and I like to kind of jokingly say we beat the Metro Council with 100%. So it's an honor to be working here. Thank you for all your warm congratulations. I'm excited to roll up my blouse with the rest of you guys and really help be a role model to all the young ladies in Metro Public Schools to show that when women lead, we can do a lot of work and we can work together. And so thank you for welcoming so warmly. And I'm so excited to work with each and every one of you for the next 10 months. And hopefully we can do good work and show a lot of the men and the young ladies of what leaders can do together when women come together and work together to a moral cause of educating our children. So thank you.
So graceful.
Ooh, we're looking like Congress, aren't we? Yes. I want to, unfortunately, acknowledge James Lewis. He was a long-term sub over at Antioch High School, and he passed away last week. So our condolences to his family, and if we can send something to his family, that would be great. I know the principal, Ms. Zeller, she did send flowers, but it would definitely be appreciated if the whole MNPS family send something to his family. And also, I would like a follow-up on what we're going to do about what we've heard tonight as far as the construction company that did not get paid. I would like to know and get some feedback. I think the board would be very interested to know how we're going to handle that situation. I did not want to not mention that tonight and acknowledge the hard work that this company did for us, and to make sure that we are holding everyone accountable and that we are involved in this process to make sure that we can help support them and getting paid. And I just want to make sure the whole board gets some kind of update soon, because it does look really bad on us, even though we didn't do it. But it's important to acknowledge all the people that came out tonight, to make sure that we're listening, that we're hearing them, because it's really important that at the end of the day, it falls back on us. So whatever company we're using, we need to make sure that they're doing their due diligence, making sure that these workers are paid, because it's certainly unfair to what they've had to endure. So I just want to make sure that we get some feedback, the entire board gets some information back on how this is going to be resolved. Thank you.
I just want to welcome Miss Player Peters. I knew her back when she was Miss Player. So I struggle with that name. But anyway, just wanted to welcome you, and we're really glad to have you here and happy to be working with you.
Dr. Battle.
I just wanted to take an opportunity publicly to thank again the calendar committee. They spent a lot of time really trying to be collaborative and taking the needs of all of our stakeholders in consideration as they engaged in building the proposed calendar for next school year. So Mr. Brad Rayson stepped out just a moment ago. He was active and a part of that. Thank you, Amanda Kale, Michelle, Sheriff, thank you for your participation. All the MNPS employees, any stakeholder that gave even a minute to help be a part of this collaborative process. So again, just wanted to publicly thank you all again.
Bugs. On October 29th, I participated in Pencil's Principal for a Day program, and it was great to be back at Warner again. I got to spend the day, or part of the day, with Meredith Taylor from City Current. It's just a great day to be informed about the other community partners or corporate partners that are looking to sponsor and support our students. And just thank you to Pencil for facilitating this kind of experience. Also, at that night, I spent with Laughlin Design Center families, and I cannot sing their praises enough for the community members that came out that night. So you have two parents, one with one child at Laughlin, one child at Warner. They'd heard about the disparity issues, the diversity or the lack of diversity in our schools in East Nashville, and decided that they wanted to facilitate a conversation. And not only did parents from Laughlin and Warner attend, but you had central office staff that hung out with us for a few hours. You had Councilman Withers, Senator Yarbrough, you had the principal, both principal from Laughlin and the principal from Warner there to tell their stories, explain their positions. But then we had teachers from not just Laughlin and Warner, but from every school or from other schools around the district, not just in East Nashville, who were there to provide context, have good conversation, and now we're looking at next steps. So I think this just characterizes what a community can do when they come together. You know, we've started the conversation, we'll continue the conversation, we'll look for solutions. So just thank you to those families and to those participants. On November 1st, MDHA had an event at Napier where they gave out laptops to students and families who had gone through a series of workshops. So again, I appreciate the Envision Napier process and how it's engaging the community and how they're looking to ramp up community engagement. And thank you to Dr. Lawless, who just continues to do great things. I meant to have on my Warner is a reward school shirt. I flubbed up, but they're another great reward school, so yay, Napier. On November 4th, the Mayor's Youth Council had their 20-year celebration, and it was just a great event. I mean, you get to see young people like our lone intern that's left. She is a 12th grader at MLK. She started with me while she was in the 10th grade, but she's a member of the Mayor's Youth Council, and just the different experiences that they're exposed to, the different options that they have, the resume building that it offers, and it was just nice to have these young people be able to speak for and advocate for themselves. I want to send a shout out to my brother's keeper, Lionel Matthews, Ashford Hughes, and many other members of the community have taken what former President Obama, the initiative that he started in D.C. years ago and brought it to Nashville, looking to expand it. If you have any questions or want to participate, please just email, call me. I'll let you know about meetings we have weekly. The Build Up Foundation, hometown legend, Kwani Cash Clendenning, has for the past 2.5 years, tutored students free of charge for the ACT. I think they have an incredible average growth of something like 5 to 7 points, which, on the ACT is a big deal. So we have students, with 35s, 36s, 34s, 30s. I mean, students growing immensely from this free program that he is pulling out of his pockets to pay for. So thank you for what you're doing. Thank you to all of those community members, teachers that support and volunteer. Lastly, Congressman Cooper is continuing to go around to area high schools to make sure that students understand the importance of registering to vote and then casting their vote as soon as they are able to. So if you want to know more about Project Register, please reach out to Congressman Cooper's office. And I'm sorry, lastly, at AZ Kelly this past week, we were able to celebrate this family that helped to integrate and desegregate schools. It was great to have generations of the Kelly family there to say thank you and to unveil the marker. But one thing that really stood out to me as I sat there with I'm not going to say 20 months, my 1.5-year-old son, because I'm not going to be that guy, my 1.5-year-old son, Former Councilman Fabian Bedney got up to speak and provide thanks, and he began his speech speaking in Spanish, and a little second grade student that I was sitting across from gasped, and you could just see the delightment on her face. And it just, again, just speaks to what diversity and inclusion and fighting for equity does in our schools. It makes our students feel included. So thank you to community members for all that you do, and yeah, thanks.
I want to welcome back Dr. Battle and congrats on your baby. Glad to have you back. I want to just recognize that today the Supreme Court started hearing arguments around DACA. We have thousands of DACA graduates in this district. We have DACA teachers in this district. We have DACA staff in this district. This is a really painful day for those students and their families. And so if you know a DACA recipient, you need to show some love to those folks because truly their future's in jeopardy with the ruling of the Supreme Court. So just wanted to give a shout out and some love to those folks. Wanted to also say I have been frustrated, understatement, about the lack of leadership we've shown on this issue of wage theft. I have been raising it for weeks and weeks. I would like to see it addressed. I'd like us to show some leadership on this issue, whatever that requires. I think if we can't model what Vanderbilt did, of at least bringing the parties around the table at a minimum, it's unacceptable that our own students' parents are begging us to get paid for work they did in our building. So I just want to say that. Also, spent last week at lunch with Hillsborough High School's student class officers and student body officers. I suggest we all listen to our high school electeds. They want to hear how you make policy, how you make a difference, how you make your voice heard. It's just a really inspiring opportunity. So that's what I want to say.
Thank you. So first, I would like to thank all the parents that came out on last week, November 5th, at Oliver Middle School, where we had a long meeting. It went over because we had such tremendous support and attendance, and I really appreciate everybody from central office that made the time and availability to be there to support those parents while they had questions and concerns about the school, and I really appreciate everyone taking my request for that meeting seriously, and I really appreciate that support. Additionally, John Overton, we had a student, I don't know if anybody reads the MNPS blog, but you should. And so we had a great student that had a post on November 6th. Her name is Isabel Everham, and she played the flute with Sir James Galloway, and he's considered like the most incredible flutist. He was the first musician knighted by the Queen because of it, and as a fellow flutist, I am very impressed. So I would suggest that you read that blog post. And then lastly, I am deeply concerned, as well as I'm hearing from other people, about the situation with Armando and Ricardo and the concrete work that took place at McMurray Middle School. It should be said that McMurray Middle School is within my district, and so I want to make sure that we are all aware that that is a beautiful school, and unfortunately took too long to get done, like a lot of our school projects, because of our drastic capital needs that we have. But it is a mark of shame on that school that it is beautiful, but at the cost of other people. And so I want to make sure that we do have some leadership on that, and that we are speaking out about what can we do and what kind of pressure can we put on, whether it's us as a board or as us as a school system, to make sure that not only are workers being paid appropriately, but our parents are being paid appropriately. It is unfortunate and hard to think about a parent that is having to take their child into a school that they helped build, but then are not paid for appropriately. So I too would like us to see more leadership on that process.
On Saturday, November the 9th, the McGavock High School Marching Band won first place in the Governor's Cup at the State Marching Band Contest of Champions held at MTSU each year. This is the first time since 2005 that McGavock has won this award. Unless you have ever been in a marching band or had a child in the marching band, you have no idea how hard these students work. So at this time, I'm giving notice that I will bring a resolution to honor these students and these directors at our meeting on November the 26th, honoring the band for this epic win. I would like to make sure my colleagues know about the joint meeting tomorrow, Wednesday, November the 13th, at Metro Council at 4:30 p.m. We will hear from the Tennessee Comptroller's Office, Comptroller Justin Wilson, regarding the financial condition of Metro and Davidson County. we were supposed to honor him tonight, but the weather kept him away. But congrats also to Mr. Derek Rowe, the aviation teacher at McGavick High School, who a couple weeks ago was presented a check for $50,000 from Harbor Freight. And he is a lovely gentleman. His students are very diverse, a large female population, and he's really good. So congrats to him. It was a great honor to be able to witness. Congrats again to Frida Player Peters for her induction tonight. And just in case you missed the biggest, most important SEC game last weekend, LSU beat Alabama. Go Tigers. With that, this meeting is adjourned.
That's right, she had on pink color.
That's right.
You're the first person I thought about.
This has been a service of the Metro Nashville Network. If you would like to see this presentation again, or for more information about this and other programs, visit nashville.gov.